What is up, everybody? It's another awesome week to be alive. Thank God for the gift of it. I'm excited to be here with you guys. I was just up in Central Virginia with Kip Campbell with Red Arrow TV. I'm working with them to work on their social media a little bit and help them kind of get acquainted. They have the largest hunting channel in the United States, basically the largest hunting show. So if you haven't checked them out, go check out Kip and Kat at Red Arrow TV. They're freaking awesome, dude. We got to do some turkey hunting. I got to hang out with his family, and they're just sweet people, man. Like I got to stay at their mom's like farmhouse, or their mom and stepdad's farmhouse, and it's like on like 90 acres. We're having coffee, we're having decaf at night. We had a big dinner. The whole family was there together. It's just such a sweet time. And then we hunted in the morning with Kip Campbell, probably one of the #1 hunters in the world. You know, just a fun freaking experience. And so it's going to be fun working with those guys. So if you haven't checked them out, dude, at least go check them out. Thanks for the hat. I'm going to be doing a lot more with y'all. But anyways, when I was there, we were at a Second Amendment rally too for Virginia, because there's just so much dumb stuff that's happening right now. I had to speak at this Second Amendment rally with Micah Goodman and Karen Hamilton in Virginia. She's a I don't know what she is, but she's something in Virginia, some delegate or something. I never pay attention to a lot of fine details. I'm just kind of there to have fun and tell everybody to keep paying attention to important things. You could qualify an important thing as knowing which position somebody occupies in the government. So maybe I'll take my own medicine on that one. But either way. So anyway, I was up there. Kip came to that, and we just had a good time, man. We had a good time up there with a bunch of people, and now I'm back here at my house, here on the property, dealing with taxes stuff, man, and I just freaking hate paying the government to exist, bro. It is so grieving when I have to do this, when I have to just give my money away to something that I feel like really... You know, I just don't even like you guys that much. I mean, compared to other governments, I suppose I like you more than them, but only because you get out of my way more, or at least ideally you're supposed to get out of my way more. But like, dude, I got pulled over while I was there for not having an inspection sticker on one of my cars, because I just think, you know, I know it's dumb, but I think inspections are stupid. You know, like, it's a farm truck. The thing barely ever goes anywhere but my house, my property, to go get hay, to go, you know, just drive to the grocery store real quick. Everything on it works fine. Your government doesn't, you know, like, dude, a lot of times back in the day, you had to like pass this stupid emissions test in Tennessee, and especially in Chattanooga, they had this dumb one where it was like, is your vehicle breathing perfectly for the environment? Like, meanwhile, if your vehicle's like older than like 13 or 14 years before mine, then there's no emission checks whatsoever. They don't even have those systems. And really all it is there a check engine light on? And if there is, you have to go get it fixed somewhere and then bring it back so your car's in perfect operational condition. Well, some check engine lights, like on older Chevys and stuff like that, dude, there's no chance you're going to pay $4,500 to get some nonsense fixed. You're just not going to do it. You know, so anyways, I just wasn't in the mood to like care about that. And now I'm having to like deal with all these dumb little things. And yes, a lot of them are my fault. Okay. But like, at the end of the day, rewind 150 years. And I feel like the average guy just didn't have to deal with that much annoying crap. Life was good. Now people were sick a lot, but people are still sick a lot. Dude, people are more sick now probably than they were then, as far as, you know, like, everybody's always got something going on. And I know life expectancy is better. You know, I appreciate that we don't die in our 40s and 50s anymore, mostly, you know, but I feel like we're heading towards it. So yeah, we don't die early. We're just all autistic and have Down syndrome. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know that it's that much better, but I guess it's getting better, you know, with RFK Jr. doing some of the good stuff he's doing. If it doesn't get blocked, you know, a lot of the stuff I feel like RFK Jr. wanted to do is kind of being railroaded now with like the glyphosate thing. They just pushed that through. You know, that was annoying. And, you know, I don't know. There's just a bunch of little things that just bug the crap out of me that I feel like it's not what I voted for, so to speak. I guess we can just say that, man. It's not what I voted for. I wanted better. You know, but we'll see, man. Trump's got a few years left in there, and I can't worry about it because I can't change it, but I can make content about it and make you talk about wanting to change it. And from what I understand about Trump, that might matter to him a little bit. So let's keep talking. So the first thing I want to talk about today is women and the glorious thing that women are. I'm so excited when I see these videos online of women having babies And especially the ones where they've been struggling with infertility for years. And then finally they flip over the pregnancy test and they're like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. Dude, all of them, the ones that I see, are just filled with like this awareness that God is involved in their life. And there's times in your life, even if you're not a Christian, where something miraculous happens and you have no choice but to throw your hands up and just go, I am grateful. I know that I had no hand in doing this. And that, if I'm honest with you guys, that is pretty much the story of my life. Let me just give credit where credit's due. Jesus has blessed me in ways that I cannot have accomplished on my own. It is just the truth. I have no way. I can't take credit for it. It's just the truth. God seems to very much like me and take care of me. And so I just want to say that, but I just want to watch this first video of this beautiful mother finding out that she's pregnant for the first time, because I want to hype up women. And then we're going to talk about some of the crazier side of women. But first, let's watch this video together and let's get in our feels, because this is just an amazing, amazing thing to see. Okay, let's refresh it so that way it's not weird. Okay, this is 8 years. She says 8 years.
13 days past ovulation, and I know I should technically wait till tomorrow to take this test. And I'm speaking low because DJ's still sleeping, but I can't wait. So. Heart is beating so fast. Oh my God.
She prays right here for God to protect her heart.
Protect my heart, oh Lord.
And now she's off to the races, bro, and it's happening. And she's just on her knees praying, and she just can't believe it, dude. And I just love seeing this. I just love seeing this, my God, bro. And there's sometimes in your life that you know God has just got his hand on you, dude. And that life is worth living and that good things come to people. And dude, I'll sit there at night and I'll just watch, because I always do the thing that I shouldn't do, where I just binge watch content at night before I go to bed, because it feels like I'm reclaiming my time. I don't know if you guys seen those videos of people whenever they're in front of like Congress or something, reclaiming my time. I just feel like I'm doing that at night. So I'll just binge watch content for like an hour before bed. It's the worst habit on the planet. Sometimes it's more than an hour, bro. It's getting bad. But I'll literally just be sitting there with my kids in the bed, and they're all asleep, and I'm just watching people find out that they're pregnant, and I'll just be crying. Be like, oh, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so glad you're having kids. I'm so glad that I got to have kids, that my wife was able to give me 4 beautiful babies. You know what I mean? And it is the gift of life, dude. It is the reason that you're here. And, the thing about having kids too, is that it gives you this very practical opportunity to experience and to activate your selflessness. Whereas when you're single or when you're not married, marriage gives you one opportunity where it's like, oh, you really like this person, so you'll be selfless, right? More selfless than you would be if you were just a regular person. So it gives you like Morgan Freeman and Bruce Almighty, he said that phrase where he was like, if you think you pray for patience, does God just sprinkle you with patience and make you patient? Or does he give you an opportunity to become patient? And I think that like the goal of life is to become more selfless. And your first like opportunity of that is marriage, which is one of the reasons I think marriage is so important, because a governmental entity can take advantage of a person that has no wife and no kids, because we kind of don't care how people treat us. As long as I can just eat what I want and do what I want, I'm fine. But if you mistreat my wife, I care more about that. So I stand up to evil governmental entities, and I'll be like, no, you're not going to treat her like that. No, she doesn't have to get in the bread line. No, she gets to go pick the food that she wants. Right. So I care more about it, and it causes men to kind of stand up and be who they should be. So, and then inside of that marriage, you have an opportunity to be selfless as well. But then when you have kids, you get an even bigger opportunity to become selfless. And it takes more of you, and it takes more of your personal time. It takes more of your alone time. It takes more of your hobbies away from you. And it makes you have to basically readjust what you consider to be enjoyable in like a really healthy way. You know, in the past, you would kind of be like, what's enjoyable is to be left alone and to do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want, and for nobody to tell me that I can't do things. Then you get married and you're like, well, I guess I don't really care about flowers, and I don't care about like, you know, organic, you know, markets on Saturdays that I want to go to, but my wife likes to go to them. So you know what? Let me learn to adjust my expectations about things that I like and do that. And then you end up like kind of liking it. You're like, oh, they have honey, and you never cared about honey before, but now you're like, oh, that's some neat honey. I guess that is kind of neat. The bees grab it locally and bring it right to you, huh? Well, that's probably good for some things. What kind of bee does that? You know, and you just kind of find yourself like caring about this, what you would have as a single person considered maybe kind of a dumb thing. But your wife has caused you to kind of delight in the things she delights in because you delight in her. So you slow down and kind of smell the roses about life a little bit. And then, you know, she doesn't want to drive. It's annoying for her to drive. So you're like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then it just becomes part of your habits, your ritual of like being selfless and like caring about somebody else more than you care about yourself. And if you're a successful man, then you're able to pay for all the things that she wants, or most of the things that she wants, or at least head in that direction. And she gets to stay home. And then you have kids. And then it's literally, you're not even doing like part one of servanthood, you're doing like part one and part two, where you're like, oh, I not only can I not care about my hobbies and not care about like my individual stuff, like I almost don't even have an option to. There's too much crap to do, especially if you have a bunch of kids. So you end up just doing stuff you never want to do all of the time. And that's where I think this whole New Balance dad comes in, where he's got like the dorky shoes that are $20 and the high socks, you know, where he just doesn't look that cool because he's not interested in himself at all. You know what I mean? And you just, pretty soon you're just the guy that, you know, hey, I'm pushing everybody else forward, you know? And I tell everybody that's why I got fat. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with my choices. I'm just preferring other people. I'm just kidding. I got fat because I eat too much. But so anyway, you know, and ultimately that's actually preferring yourself when you're that fat, because I'll die early if I stay this way, which means I'm a bad father. So I got to figure that out too. But I think having children gives you like just a whole nother opportunity to basically become who you wish that you were. And in some cases it exposes who you're not and who you wish you were, you know, and I think that's healthy for people. It's like a very good mirror to figure out what your problems really are. And, you know, I don't know, man. I think about that a lot, and I think about these beautiful parents that are becoming parents for the first time, and how everything in life changes, and you become a completely different thing that's able to enter into that new level of selflessness. And then you're even more resistant to the government at that point. You're even more like, no, you're not going to put vaccines in my kids that aren't safe. You're not going to tell my kids they have to eat this stuff at a dumb school. The teacher's not going to tell them that communism is good and help them surrender their rights for the future for the sake of some stupid ideology that promises utopia if you just give up your rights, but never really ends in utopia. It always ends in people being killed in mass. And, you know, so you start to become more conservative as you gain more responsibility. And you know, I just look at life and I go, dude, this is just such a beautiful thing. And when I watch these videos, that happens to me, it opens my heart up even more, you know. And I advise everybody, go binge watch as many of those videos as you can. Pregnancy, finding infertility, and then, you know, you'll find it, and you'll find these videos and your heart will explode a little bit like mine did, you know. And then you've got, you know, the other side of this, the other side of what's happening in the world. And I want to show you guys some of these things where, you know, women have taken on an unhealthier role, where they focus too much on something else, and then it's become toxic to the world around them. And this is a really good example of how Hollywood does that to places. And I want to show it to you guys.
Robbie was not acting. She said,
I can't show it on YouTube because it has music in the background to give me a copyright thing. It was Marco Robbie or whatever her name is in the movie that she made with the guy where it's like super sensual.
And now she basically said like there was multiple times where the guy like picked her up with one hand and like set her down gently, and it made her like gasp out loud. And now she kind of looks like, even on stage and on set, when she couldn't find him, she would be like worried, like, oh no, where is he? And then like her husband has to go watch them do this tour where they talk about the show and everything. And like, you just know that Hollywood's done this to so many people.
That she became codependent with Jacob Elordi on set.
Yeah, dude, like, that's why, you know, me and my wife have talked about this before about, hey, if you're ever going to be in a movie and stuff, because I've had some people offer me different shows and things like that. And like, there's sometimes where they want me to have a wife in the show. And I'm like, okay, no kissing though. Cause I just don't think you can do it and not do it. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't do it and not do it. You know what I mean? So I have to be like, no, you know, and I know that there's some other actors, I know there's some other actors that are like that. I don't remember the guy's name, but I know that he got ousted from some movies because he wouldn't participate in, you know, that kind of behavior on scene. So they're like, well, fine, we'll find somebody who will, you know, or whatever. And it's like, dude, I bet his wife appreciated the crap out of that, you know? And anyways, you know, I think that this is just like an unhealthy, like, dude, if my wife was fooling around with no wonder all these people are all jacked up in Hollywood, bro. No one, I mean, this is obviously, that's one of the reasons, but there's a lot of reasons they're jacked up in Hollywood. Half of it has to do with the fact that a lot of them are in secret societies where they've done evil things in the past, you know, and there's no way that you can really get around that. Like, it's a pretty common problem. In order to become famous, they basically had to sign over weird rights to themselves, weird rights to their families, to corporations that are actually involved in satanic rituals behind the scenes, where they do incredibly embarrassing things on camera, so that in the future, if that group of people that initiated them into those roles and gave them the contract doesn't like how they're behaving, or they start to get out of line, they can call them and threaten them with, hey, we're going to expose you and you're going to lose all of your everything that we've given you if you don't stay in line. And then, so basically they give them the blessing, but it comes with a ball and chain. So that way we're going to promote you, but that's because you're captive to us. And so a lot of that means that you end up being, gay. Even if you weren't gay, you end up transing all of your kids. In my personal opinion, that's probably why Megan Fox has 3 trans kids. That doesn't just happen. The statistics of that are like 0%. So that means she's helping that to occur. You know, her and MGK or whatever always drink each other's blood. They talked about weird stuff like that, you know. And you know what's unfortunate is when you find this stuff out about someone like what you would consider to be maybe one of your favorite actors or actresses. It's grieving, dude. It's grieving. And here's one about Will Smith, and I'll tell you my story from what I heard from people about Will Smith that are trustworthy in a minute. Okay, so here you go. Here's a good one.
Will Smith is...
Wait, hang on. Am I still on one screen? Yeah, okay. There you go. Let me refresh it for you. This may or may not be true.
Is gay, okay? He's gay. He's always been gay. I lived in Hollywood for a decade. My boss was his agent at CAA for 8 years and would help him shuffle men in and out of their mansions. Him and Jada Pinkett Smith don't even live, they haven't even ever lived in the same bedroom. She is his, what's it called, lavender wife or whatever, to seem normal so they can seem like the all-American family. But in reality, Will Smith is gay and always has been. I hate Hollywood and I don't even like celebrities. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. But I'm just so sick of seeing this story of like, oh, she's this big cheater even though she's absolutely insufferable. That's just so you guys will talk about them. That's why their whole family is weird and it doesn't know what gender they are. Because the dad shuffles men in and out of their home all the time. It's not all on him. Like, she's willingly married to a gay man. And that's fine. I love gay people, but it makes me feel, it's weird that they're pretending that. It grosses me out and it's annoying, but he's gay. That's the whole thing. I know that he is gay for sure. I'm not saying that because I read an article. I'm saying it because I lived in Hollywood and I know that he's gay. He's gay. Will Smith is gay and he always has been.
So unfortunately, that seems to be the truth. And the reason I say that is because I have a friend of mine, more than 2 actually, who have told me they went to different meetings, I suppose you could say. And I guess it's a thing in Hollywood where they attempt to shock you to see what you're comfortable with. And This person that I'm talking about right now was in a show that all of us know. If I mentioned it growing up, all of us knew. Anyway, he went there, and immediately upon entering Will Smith's residence, he walked in the door, and Will Smith was actively with another man. And started talking to the guy that walked in while he was doing it. I think it was like to see what his reaction would be or something. So yeah, there you go. That's what's wrong with that. And then, you know, half of this is that there's feminization that's occurring. And that's another big problem that's happening with the feminization of a country just leads to like some of the worst ideas possible. You know what I mean? And when I look, at some of these videos I'm about to show you, you'll kind of see why I think that. Like this one specifically really just rings to me and bugs me, because you're watching this woman's entire legacy just get trampled in one setting. And just watch this with me for a second. Okay?
Marriage. I would never date without marriage.
And do you want children?
I do, but that would be a complicated thing for me to happen.
Why is it?
I don't have a penis. I'm transgender, so I cannot sire kids.
I'm thinking he's not the one.
All right, well, now.
She's even being polite by calling him he. You know, I'm thinking he's not the one. He's transgender, can't have kids. The mom's like, oh, okay, well, my daughter obviously needs to be with somebody. You know, there's about 100 generations before us that all decided to do this annoying thing where we like procreated. Oh, and by the way, the population of the world is collapsing. But like, yeah, obviously I want my daughter to be able to give me grandkids. And, you know, she brought me into the show. So let's be excited about that. And there's all these other men to choose from. And let's just see how it goes.
Natalie's boyfriend, step forward.
Who's the real boyfriend? Who does she think it was? It's the tranny. It's the one that cannot procreate, that is the least conducive for society to keep prospering. And if you just look at the mom's face here, you know, this is, yeah, I mean, check it out.
Serious?
Look, she can't say it. She can't say it, but she's just so brokenhearted.
Are you serious? I didn't know. Are you in love? Are you in love?
I'm in love.
What does that even mean? Are you in love? Love is so stupid of a thing to say. Are you in it? So I'll rant on that some other time.
I'm in love.
I'm love.
Look at the losers clapping about this. Clapping. Like, dude. You know, it's like you fell in love with a drug addict. They have this terrible thing that's going to steal a lot of like your future and your money. And I'm not saying that as like a dig at trans people. I love you. Okay. I love that you have dignity before God, but it's almost like a cat that pulls its own claws and pulls its own fangs and cuts off. No, it really is like a person that cuts off their own genitals. That's what it's like. So you literally can't do the thing that you're biologically there for, which historically is one of the primary things that gives people the most amount of delight in their life, period. It is. Your children, throughout history, people have celebrated children because it is a way that you are able to become who you should be and delight in something besides yourself. And this just completely truncates that. And it's this inward worship of self and navel gazing where you're looking down at yourself and wondering, how do you feel all the time? And that's why all of them are so offended about everything all the time too. And number two, it's a young person. They're probably on 5 SSRIs, probably on 3 puberty blockers, and don't even know how they're going to be. And the WPATH standards of care for trans people have already established this clearly. I think it's, I wish I could remember the page number. It's on WPATH, it's the 7th edition, and it clearly talks about how gender dysphoria stops in 88 to like 94% of the cases if you don't treat it at all and you just leave them alone until they hit adulthood. And so for somebody to have embraced it during one of the swing, they're on permanent puberty blockers, they're on permanent other like testosterone and stuff like that. So they're a permanent patient of the government. They usually, if they did surgery and stuff, they usually have chronic infections. They have chronic pain. It's just, you're signing up to basically live with a disabled person forever who did it electively to themselves because they had trauma. I haven't met one of them that tells me they transitioned and didn't have serious emotional trauma beforehand. And so it's just a bad gamble. You know what I mean? And it's a phase for her. The one on the left that has the mom, it's a phase. But the mom can't say it because we live in a feminist society where she's supposed to just, whatever you want to do is awesome, while she's watching her legacy just get destroyed in front of her eyes. And you're about to go through like a 15-year hell. And I just have to sit here and watch it while you make out with this other girl in front of me. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, I feel sorry for this mom. We'll keep watching for a sec just to see.
What are you talking about? Do you want to bring Clem to a party, to the house?
Salsa. I think we can
salsa
together.
No. Sorry. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen, everybody. Okay? Not gonna happen. You know, and then you get, you know, this lady, and you start seeing, you know, where people just listen to women a little too much. You know what I mean? And here's an example of that, but she thinks she's in the right about this. I'm not saying these guys were geniuses for doing this, but let's just talk about it for a minute, okay?
So not all men, but definitely these guys.
I'm getting scared. Let's turn around.
And I'll hear a woman say she's feeling scared. This guy not only doesn't respond to her, but he jokes about how he's about to get wet from the waves.
Frank, I think we should turn around.
She tells Frank we should turn around, and he says, relax.
Well, first off, whenever you're going out of a inlet or whatever, it's always pretty wild as far as the waves. So like, this is totally normal. Nothing weird about that. And everybody who isn't used to being on a boat always feels that way. They're like, this is really getting wild. Okay. And even the guys should be saying that, you know what I mean? Like, this is getting pretty serious, you know, but anyway.
You're going too far in.
This woman is clearly concerned. And what does the guy do? He turns on the music to drown out the sound of her talking. Now he...
Can we all just admit for a second that oftentimes, I mean, I can't tell you how many times my wife has been preemptively alarmed about something that 99% of the time never happens. And I think that's actually the real number. 100 things she'll be concerned about, one of them will occur. 99 will not. So like, is it really a crime to be like, yeah, all right, just chill for a sec. We're just trying to get through the waves here. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you shouldn't care a little bit more and be like, hey, everything's going to be okay, honey. Trust me. You know, but like, if you've been in a relationship for a long time, the trust me, you kind of just, either she does or she doesn't. This guy, she's displaying that she probably just doesn't. You know what I mean? But anyway, they get scared here in a second because it gets a little worse.
He says, if it's too wavy, I'll turn around.
Frank, I'm scared.
Again, she says she's scared, and I can't hear what the guy at the helm is saying, but you can hear him mumble under his breath, dismissing her.
Well, he says if it gets too wavy, he'll turn around, so that's a pretty good sign.
It's kind of rough out.
It is.
And the guy goes, it's kind of rough. Obviously, this guy's hammered.
It's about 1 minute into this video, okay? 1 minute of this woman saying it's rough out here and everybody dismissing her. But now one of the broskies says, oh my gosh, it's actually kind of rough out here.
But he doesn't really say, holy crap. He's smiling and goes, it's kind of rough out here.
I'm going to turn around.
And now Frank's like, it is kind of rough out here. You know what?
Yeah, but okay, straight up, this was all a 45-second interchange. So she mentions it's rough out here, and then within 30 seconds, he goes, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. He even said, I'll turn around if it gets too rough. And he himself thought it was too rough. That doesn't mean he's totally ignoring the girl. This is I hate these videos where it's a 45-second window. You have no idea about their relationship. You don't know anything about that. And the other question is, how does this end up? Did they topple over or not? You know, like, anyway, we'll keep watching.
I think I might turn around. The girls are on the boat scared, screaming, but the men are doing like a dick measuring contest. They're like, yeah, we may almost flip. Somebody might get hurt.
No, they likely know that they're not going to flip, but the waves are annoying. If you're actually thinking you're going to flip, you're not smiling most of the time.
Men think the problem with women is we think with our heart instead of our brain. The problem with men is they think with their dick instead of their brain. You guys are in an
Well, the question is, were they actually safe or not? Did they flip or no? Because if they didn't flip, then you can be quiet.
Unsafe situation, and instead of listening to the women right off the bat, you ignored them.
I don't know that they were in an unsafe situation. Going out of inlets is always kind of like that. It's always a little chaotic.
Dismissed them entirely, and then mocked them. We say, not all men, but definitely these guys, because they don't listen to the woman. And even if they were safe, she felt unsafe.
But women feel unsafe all of the time. Like if you're married, you know this. Like it is a very common thing that they just feel unsafe. And so if we did everything to cater to when women feel unsafe, these guys wouldn't have been able to go fishing, wouldn't have been able to have a good afternoon. Whatever they were going to do wouldn't have got done. That's half the reason that all the businesses suck in the world now in the United States is because these HR departments and these safety protocols that overstep their boundaries by 10 extra unnecessary steps to prevent any kind of things that men are just like, bro, just what are you doing? Get your hand in there and do it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, like I'll be cleaning something off the ground and Erica, my wife, she'll bring me like 3 different things that I need to clean it. And I'm like, let me just get it, you know, with the one thing and then I'll spray it afterwards. And it's like, I didn't do it her way, but it got done the exact same way by the time I was done. And it's like all these extra protocols. And I just think that, you know, it's not the same, you know what I mean? And I hate to say it, but I just think that it's generally inefficient, and that's why. You can't always listen to the people that are paranoid about what could go wrong because literally women are hardwired to be thinking, grab my babies, protect it from any kind of a threat. So that hardwires you biologically to be more concerned about threats than you should be. Now, do women live longer than men on average? And part of that being that they're less risky than men. Yes. So there is an actual net benefit that women do that. But then there's also a benefit to men just getting stuff done and not worrying about the same amount of weight in the risk. And by the way, all of the world that men built for women is because of that attitude that men have. So we can't just dismiss it and be like, we should be always concerned and be listening to every concern of women. Anyways, there's that. So I hope that makes sense. It made sense to me. Okay, you guys got to settle an argument for me here. Okay, you got to settle an argument for me here. This is something me and my wife argue about. Okay, it's about food and when you're cooking it and the spatulas, dude. All right, we're taking a break from the serious stuff for a second. My wife will be making raw beef. Okay, she'll be making raw hamburger meat, okay, with the spatula, okay? She'll make it. The spatula comes out, the meat keeps cooking, okay? She is under the impression, in my opinion, wrongly, that the meat that's on the spatula gets cooked at the same pace that the meat that is in the frying pan. To me, this makes no sense because the spatula is not in direct contact with the heat like the rest of the meat. But this is an argument that I want to go over with everybody because we do need to settle this once and for all the families out there that deal with the same amount of trauma. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
Wash the spatula between when the meat's raw and when it's cooked, or do you just use it the whole time and never wash it?
I will switch out a spatula halfway through for the record, but I want to see. Look, she's appalled. She should be.
That is disgusting.
Why? The meat's already cooked.
No, as soon as the meat starts to look pretty cooked, then you wash the spatula and then use it again. Otherwise, you're putting the raw meat spatula on the now cooked meat. No.
It all gets cooked in the end.
Not the spatula. And then you're going to use that same spatula with the raw meat juice all over it to serve it? Heck no.
I've done it several times, and you ate it.
Without knowing. That's disgusting.
We'd be happy to know that I already washed it.
Yay.
Do you wash?
Yeah, she's 100% right. Duh. I don't even know how this is a debate at this point. Of course you have to wash it in between. It still has raw juice on it. The spatula didn't get to the same temperature as the frying pan, bro, or ma'am. I feel like this just needs to be, everybody needs to know this. You know what I mean? Warning, there's too many warning labels. Take some warning labels off and you'll find out, you know, how fast things kind of go south. Also, you know, life is a little bit chaotic, you know, and I think when you let women decide everything, like there's a study that Fleckas and Richard Ratboy did on their show that really opened my eyes to this. There was a study that they talked about. They didn't do the study themselves, but how, you know, men and women were both third-party observers to an incident, and like when something wrong happened to an innocent person, they all felt the same amount of empathy, and they're like, oh no. But then when somebody did something wrong and like was robbing somebody or something, and then they got hurt, the men were like, yeah, it's what you deserve. And their pleasure centers lit up. They're like, oh, good, that's how it should be. But the women, the same empathy was still there lighting up, not the other thing. So when you have that, it allows for like crazy mass migration and voting for things that are against your best interest, and what we call is like suicidal empathy is what it's called. And so you get guys like this that are just out there in public doing things. And I just want to show you guys this video because you can see this is what happens to a culture when it just decides that everybody's equally valuable. Is literally stabbing her freaking bag, dude. You had an open blade near my girl, you would be ended. That's how that would go. But let's just watch what happens here. Just a freaking hood rat on a bike, dude. Like doesn't even have a car, and we're just letting this guy interrupt like actual legit society. This is crazy.
Have a nice day. Take my picture. Hey, take my picture right here.
Pepper spray. Glad she had some of that. But watch what happens.
My picture right here.
He picks up something and he throws it and he hits her with it. Where's the men? Where's the men around this dude? That's what I'm saying, man. The wussification of a culture is just a sad thing. You have to have conservative values. You have to be able to push past when things are uncomfortable. And speaking of conservative values, I want to share this next clip. We got two more and then we're done. This next clip is Ashley St. Clair. She's one of Elon Musk's baby mamas. She was around the influencer world. I did a campaign or two when she was promoting certain things with Trump forever ago. So I know she was right as far as she's been around the conservative side of the Turning Point USA events and stuff like that. And I want to talk about some of the stuff that she says because we need to hear it. And as a group, talk about this because she's right. So anyway, here, let's watch this.
I have a bag of badges from all the events I did with these people. Okay. And so I've been to my fair share of Republican events, and they are all debaucherous. The drinking, the substances, the sex, the this, the that. And recently, I've started going to different events that are more center or left. I went to the World Forum, which is an event with Hillary Clinton, and I spoke about AI governance and AI architect and regulation. And everyone I met there had a family or was leaving early to go see their kids. And nobody was like, hey, you want to hit the club after, like it was with when I would go to these Republican events. There was no rave event after, like at Turning Point. And it was
there are Turning Point raves? Stop right there.
Yes, James O'Keefe does a Make America Rave Again event after at all of the Turning Point events. And James should have just been a theater kid, honestly.
They are all failed theater kids. We talk about this all the time.
Okay, so first off, I think she is right about this. I think what has happened in the conservative influencer world, and I've talked about this with some of the influencers and been like, guys, like you can't go to a garden, the garden of society, pluck out the flower from the conservative party and go, look, it's better for everything. When you plucked it out, you disconnected it from its roots, which was the Christian faith and living according to biblical expectations for the new covenant, not the old covenant. And so when you do that, you end up with these crazy after parties, these crazy loose situations. And those do happen at the Turning Point events and things like that. And I always didn't like that. And, she's right that it is like that. And, it's more like, just because the you know, we don't follow the followers of Jesus. We follow Jesus. I think that's important to remember in the conservative world. I don't really hold these people to the same standard that I would hold like a person that, well, I mean, some of them do profess Christianity, but a lot of them, especially the ones that are involved in, you know, what I would consider to be sexual sin, you know, like I have to tell them that, you know what I mean? Like this isn't okay. And a lot of them are. A lot of the ones that you know by name have done that and do that. And so like I think she's right that it's not that the left is more healthy and wholesome. The left is corrupt all the way through. The right knows what the right things are and then doesn't always do them. You know, so I don't know which one's worse, but the right needs to get their shit together when it comes to like why we believe what we believe and where that comes from so that we can actually give a healthy display. And I've been talking to some different groups. I don't know if I'm under NDA for this or not, but I've been talking to a few groups that are starting to realize that have good money and are starting to be like, hey, we have to start representing like actual Christian values to bring to young men because they're all following people who don't have families, who don't represent Christian values. And the right wing, like social media sphere is all these people like Clavicular and stuff like that. No offense to him, but no young man should want to emulate that dude's life. It will not give you fruit at the end of your life, dude. Proverbs is through and through talks about the pit at the end of a woman's legs. And if that's your pursuit, then you will end up very, you know, sad in the end of your life. I'm not saying that, you know, you shouldn't care about marrying a beautiful woman. You should. That seems like a good idea. But what I'm saying is you don't want to make it everything. And these guys don't even interested in marriage. You know, so anyway, there's just not a lot of good representation. I hope that I'm trying to bring some of that to it. I'm a little bit funny and I'm a little bit fat. But other than that, man, I'm trying to be the thing that young men should actually want to be like. You know, and there's some organizations that are heading in this direction, dude, that I'm going to be probably working with to try to fix some of this because I think she's right about the conservative movement. A lot of the young people don't know why they believe what they believe, and they just know that it ends up in a better, healthier society. But then they themselves are not healthy in society. They don't practice good norms and all that. And I think it's because they've disconnected the conservative flower from the roots, which is Christianity and actual practice of it. And so they're left without the capability of following through on the expectations that are there for believers, for Christians. And that way they live in a more kind of gross life. And, you know, the Republicans started doing that when Trump came around more. Before that, you know, I don't know anything about politics because I wasn't involved before Trump really came around. But when Trump came around, it ushered in a whole new era of people that basically realized the left was crazy and they wanted crazy government control and stuff like that. And so they all swung over here to come over here. But a lot of those people that came over were practicing sexually sinful lifestyles, were practicing other kinds of crazy things in their life, where they were, I mean, there was even people that were literally showing up that were corn stars to the events. And it was like, hey, bro, this is not you, you know, you're embracing some of the fruit of the flower because you realize it's better for society that it looks like this, but you're abandoning how the flower became itself, which is the roots that are established inside of the Christian faith. And I think she's right. We have to get back to that. And I'm going to leave you guys on one hilarious video, but here's a good one, okay? You guys can enjoy it.
Finger down if when your wife gave birth to your third kid, she said, babe, do you mind just going home and getting me some supplies and maybe even cooking me a dinner that I like? And you say, absolutely, babe, no worries. So you go home and you get her supplies and you cook her favorite meal. And then a few hours later, you get back in the car and go to the hospital. And when you go into her room, you realize she's got all the lights switched off and it appears she's getting some sleep. And you know she's not going to get much sleep in the next few weeks. So you just let her sleep. But then your brand new baby starts to cry. So you pick it up and then you go over and just sit down next to your wife and stroke her hair for 40 minutes. And then after 40 minutes, a strange man walks into the room and says, what the hell is going on here? And you say, what are you talking about? And then he turns on the light and you realize that you're sitting there stroking his wife's hair, holding his brand new baby because they moved what room your wife was in when you were at home cooking, but no one explained it to you. And so you have to pass back his baby while apologizing and trying to explain to you the misunderstanding that's taken place. But no one wants to hear anything that you're saying because everyone just assumes you're a massive psycho. Put a finger.
Bro, you could not recover. You know, the guy wouldn't believe you. And he said he was done it for 40 minutes. For 40 minutes, bro. Oh my God. Oh my God. 40 minutes. Oh, dude, there's no way they, like, imagine he probably was bare chested too, because chest to chest is good. And this other guy comes in like, what the flip? Oh my gosh. Oh, love you guys. I hope this turned out well. I'm going to go edit it to make sure it did, because I think I messed up a few things. Whatever, bro. God bless you guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. See ya.